So, again, it's about 30 minutes of video in. We haven't even finished the whole application. Honestly, it doesn't take this long when you're actually going through the process, because most agents will just ask the beginning of the questions and say no, 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 no. But then something will happen, it'll come back and you won't know why they've rated you. So that's the purpose of these videos. Please watch them in their entirety, ask questions, all that good stuff. Anyway, so we're at part 2, page 2 of 3 of the life insurance application. Question 6. In the past 2 years, has any person proposed for insurance been prescribed any medication or taken any medication prescribed by a physician or regularly used over-the-counter medicine? I would in this instance say yes. Proposed person for insurance. Diabetes medication. A lot of people are familiar with metformin. Date last taken 05. What's today? 30th, 2017. Prescribing for physician, I'm just going to put SUNY Downstate. I don't feel like looking at my doctor's name at the moment. However, the realistic thing is that you would need to give your doctor's information, because we're going to get your medical records for the past 3 to 6 years. This is why you can't hide anything from the insurance agent or the insurance company, because we check with your doctor. You always tell the truth to your doctor, and we retrieve what's called the doctor's notes. So anytime you're speaking to the doctor and you say, yeah, doctor, I know you prescribed me this, but I didn't take it, he might write non-compliant down. Well, that is literally on your file, and that's something that you sign off on the HIPAA forms. 2 times daily, 1,000 milligrams. Okay. In the past 5 years, has any person proposed for insurance, consulted with a doctor, or been hospitalized or treated by a healthcare provider for any other health condition? I would click no, but you may have. Right, so now this is for comments. And then this is part 3 of 3. Each of the undersigned certify that we have read the completed application. We, the undersigned, agree to the following. Most of the time, people don't read this. The insurance agent will hand it to you and say this is just disclosures. It's really not that important for you to read. They're also going to leave you a copy. And you're going to read over it. It says, 1. All answers and statements in this application are true and complete to the best of our knowledge and belief. Companion Life Insurance, which is Mutual of Omaha, but New York has to be separate, will rely on the answers and statements in the application as the basis for any policy issued. It's going to say the same thing with any life insurance company. It'll just change the name of the company. I, the applicant, understand that no coverage will be issued if the age of the proposed insured or face amount applied for do not meet the underwriting standards that apply to this policy. 2. Coverage under the policy will become effective only if and when the full initial premium is paid. Remember what I told you about a conditional receipt in the earlier videos. Companion has been notified of any change since the date of application in either the health or habits of any person proposed for insurance, and C, the policy is delivered and all delivery requirements are fulfilled, including a signed good health statement if required during the lifetime of the proposed insured. So this comes to the point where the agent sits down with you and you're like, oh, well, I have to think about it. Well, the insurance company has to think about it too. They have to take up to 8 weeks to do all of this, and then by the time you get the policy issued and it gets sent to you, you have something called the free look period. So even though you gave me that initial $188 and I took it and gave you a conditional receipt, just because the policy issues does not mean you need to take it. You can say, you know what, I decided I don't want it, I'm going to cancel it out. Your monies will be returned to you. 3. If there is a change in the proposed insured's health or habits before a policy is delivered and the change will alter any statement or answer to any question in the application, the applicant or proposed insured will immediately notify the company. If the person proposed for insurance is not eligible for the insurance applied for, no policy of any kind will be in effect. So again, people say, I have a policy, and then they don't, because they don't know that things have changed in the company. according to the contract. You have to realize that the life insurance policy is a legally binding contract, and these are the things that are in your contract. 4. The proposed insured or applicant has received the MIB Inc. pre-notice, the Notice of Information Practice, and the Life Insurance Buyer's Guide before completing this application. Most of the time, you haven't received any of those things, as I've encountered many people who, when I sit down with them, they're like, oh, my last guy didn't tell me any of this. Once you're a seasoned vet, you generally don't tell people this because it extends the length of the process, and people have this idea that it's supposed to happen fast due to commercials like, hey, come to Geico, 15 minutes or less. Don't work like that in real life. If the applicant is other than the proposed insured, the applicant will own the policy. If the mode of payment is bank service plan, the applicant authorizes premiums due to be automatically paid to the company by electronic funds transfer, unless authorization is canceled in writing. 7. No producer can A, waive or change any receipt or policy provision, or B, agree to issue a policy. So the agent or producer is not the person who dictates, number one, how much the cost is, what the average cost is, or if you are approved or declined for the policy. Number 8 says this application includes parts 1 and 2, all supplemental forms, and all amendments specifically made a part of the application and signed by the applicant. This application is to be attached to and made part of the policy. 9. A telephone call in conjunction with the application will or may be used. So then you would say, I have read and understand the authorization to receive information form and disclose information to the MIB, Medical Information Bureau, the authorization to disclose personal information, and C, the agreement selection. We agree that all answers and statements in this application are true and complete to the best of my knowledge. So I would say Brooklyn, I signed this in Brooklyn, New York, 05/30/2017. Oh, wow. 05/30/2017. Then you would put your signature here. Okay, now, if you'll notice, signature of applicant, owner, or proposed insured, age 14 and a half and over. So if you have a child and you're putting a policy on your child and they are 14 and a half, they legally have to sign and say it's okay for you to put life insurance on them. This is the producer statement. This has nothing to do with the client. This has to do with the agent. But it might be good that you know it's there. So if you'll notice, the producer statement says, has any person proposed for insurance informed you, the producer, that he or she has one or more existing policies? Anyway, I'm going to click no for all of this. I'm going to speed past this because this is not particularly necessary. This is the producer. Producer report, I'm going to skip over. Again, that's more about us. Conditional receipt. So remember, I said conditional receipt that means that if you give me a check for the insurance right now, before I leave your house, and you are covered at the moment that you give me that check, even though we haven't put in any underwriting or put in the application, but you literally filled out an application and gave me a check or cash or a money order right now to apply for this life insurance policy, you are covered. That's why you get the conditional receipt. Now, when you want to think about it and take a few weeks, you don't get the conditional receipt, so you're not covered. So with this conditional receipt, this means that if before I get back to the office with your application, I get hit by a bus and die, you are still covered by the insurance company. If within 60 days of everything, after I died and got hit by a bus, bringing your application back to the office to submit it, and you gave me a check because you have this conditional receipt, and you die, your family can now put in a life insurance claim, and you haven't actually been approved or denied for your life insurance. So we're going to say a check dated 05/30/2017 for $188.88 from Alonzo Hall, covering the lives of Alonzo Hall, since that's me, or an authorization account number for the first model premium. That's the other way you can do it. If you don't want to give a physical check, you would get this, but you'd have to say that as soon as we put it in, we're going to take the money before we even approve or deny the policy. And then you would get this, you'd sign where it's signed, and then you'd move forward. This is the bank service plan, so this is how you're going to get your policy paid for. It says pick 1st through the 28th. I always recommend 1st through the 25th. The insurance companies have a way of taking your monies either, let's say the 28th falls on a weekend or a holiday. They'll take it before or they'll take it after. This is why I always say the 1st through the 25th. This way you give yourself some wiggle room, so if they have to take it on the weekend and it's before the 25th or after, your money isn't taken. You would then fill out the bank information here. Okay. New York authorization to disclose personal information to the life insurance company. So they have this, and we read about that earlier. You'd have to sign this. You print and sign. Okay? This is authorization to receive and disclose information for the MIB. So again, you would read this, print, and sign. Okay? I'm not reading these whole things in the benefit of time. Accelerated death benefit. I'll go over that in another video. Effect of the benefit payment. I'll go over that in another video. But this is all things that you have to sign and date, and it's likely that you haven't. One other thing. So guess how Magic Johnson found out he had HIV/AIDS? He applied for life insurance. This is the HIV/AIDS disclosure, and what this is it's basically saying, I want the results. First of all, I'm consenting to having my blood tested for HIV/AIDS, and I would like it to be sent to myself or my doctor. So I would say Stewart Downstate, 450 Clarkson Ave, Brooklyn, New York. Alright. And then the consent, you would fill that out, you'd sign and date it. Now, this is something from the state, okay? So this is called Regulation 60. There is a company out there that this became created for. I'm not going to bash the name of the company, but a lot of people are familiar with it. They like to, one of their mottos is bringing Wall Street to Main Street. So, it says, in order to determine whether you are replacing or otherwise changing the status of existing life insurance policies or annuity contracts, and in order to receive the valuable information necessary to make careful comparison, if you are contemplating replacement, the agent or broker is required to ask you the following questions and explain any items you do not understand. Okay? As part of your purchase of a new life insurance policy or new annuity contract, has existing coverage been or is it likely to be lapsed, surrendered, partially surrendered, forfeited, assigned to the insurer replacing the life insurance policy or annuity contract, or otherwise replaced? For me, I'm going to put no for all of this, but I want to read over this because this is very important information. So 2, changed or modified into paid-up insurance, continued as extended term insurance, or under another form of non-forfeiture benefit, or otherwise reduced in value by the use of non-forfeiture benefits, dividend accumulations, dividend cash values, or other cash values. 3, changed or modified so as to effect a reduction either in the amount of existing life insurance or annuity benefit, or in the period of time the existing life insurance or annuity benefit will continue in force. Reissued with a reduction in amount such that any cash values are released, including all transactions wherein an amount of dividend accumulations or paid-up additions is to be released. Reissued, assigned as collateral for a loan made subject to borrowing, continued with a stoppage of premium. If any of these answers you answered yes, the question to any of these questions, replacement defined in the state by the New York Insurance Department, Regulation number 60 has occurred or is likely to occur, and your agent or broker is required to provide you with a completed disclosure statement and the important notice regarding replacement. I'm going to stop this video now. I think 15 minutes is a good max. I'll come back, do another one, and do a little more learning. With that being said, Black Lives Matter. One love, I'm out.